You are listening to an independent production. All additional audio elements were provided copyright-free and belong to their respective owners. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the next episode of Gateway to Eden podcast. We're actually, as I said, we are doing a roadmap presentation today. I know it's a presentation. Everybody loves presentations, but it was, something to better talk about and show what we're doing to plan on getting to where we're going with this. At least to the point of getting the land and starting to build. Hello, Bombed Carnivore, you're back!
I'm alive.
Yay! That's good. Today I am not joined by Vickrol because he has been voluntold to help out some family, which is understandable. But I am still joined by Bombed Carnivore and Raya. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So, as I was saying, we're going over an actual roadmap to Eden's Gate. We'll start with the initial funding.
You didn't use PowerPoint, did you?
No, I used Prezi.
That's
Which
fancy.
is probably worse, but you know what? It's all right. Initial funding.
Yes.
We're going to go with crowdfunding.
At least for it to get off the ground, I think that's the only way we can.
Yeah, pretty much starting out crowdfunding. So it's going to be your Patreon, GoFundMe, Kickstarter. We're probably going to try and focus on, as you can see in the little notes right there, we're probably going to try and focus on a platform that aligns well with our mission, what we're trying to do, which is, just at the very least provide a safe place for us to exist and to grow and thrive.
And we're pretty sure Kickstarter is a non-starter because we don't have a product to make.
Ah, okay. So that's specific to Kickstarter. So scratch out Kickstarter there. But there's doing some research on this. There's 1.5 million different crowdfunding ways to go. Patreon definitely can work. Thank you, Mason. But with Patreon requires a lot of content creation and consistent content creation, which is going to be up to me. That's my own fault.
Yeah, so I'm not close enough to poke him with a cattle prod. Make the videos!
Make more videos. Make more TikToks. I know. I haven't done any TikToks for the last couple days. That's my own fault. So, yeah, various different crowdfunding potential that we can do. That's probably going to be where we're starting. If anybody has ideas for good crowdfunding sources, but it sounds so... That's the potential platforms. We really, like I said, we should really focus on something that will be best for us, that aligns with us very well.
Yeah. We're trying to find something that isn't going to go, hey, you need to have something to sell.
Mason says Ko-Fi might work too, since that's a donation-based one. Financial goals. So, because this is just starting out, the idea is to get enough money to talk to a lawyer about forming an LLC, or, having them do that for us. Plus, the actual, forming of and
making sure we're not breaking copyright law.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. And then after that, it's going to be we're getting money for buying the land and building the stuff, basically. So this will include, purchasing the actual land. This will include building materials, building equipment. I know you, Bomb Carnivore, and Vickrol have stuff that will, cut the costs a little bit. Because I know you guys have equipment.
I have tools. Vic's got the equipment. And
then I remember we were talking about Vickrol needs some kind of employment contract, which when we create the LLC, that should be
fairly simple to do.
Actual construction, which apparently I don't know how to spell. It's just constructee.
Close enough for government work.
Construction, so this will be building, the original, the very
the
beginning. Town hall,
the farm shops, a dozen or so houses, cow hall, etc., etc. The bare basics.
Bare basics. that's all I have for that. And then, speaking of marketing, with like I was talking about with Patreon, I need to do more podcast episodes. I need to do more episodes in general. I just need to be talking about this a lot more. Vickrell brought it up earlier.
Yeah.
You know, we need to do a lot more stuff.
At the end of your TikTok videos, go, I have a Patreon. Link in bio.
Yep. I have to put some actual effort in. Oh, no. I'm kidding.
Yes. The work begins.
And then here I have a note going back to the more podcast episodes. What I'm planning on doing for the moment is I need to do this anyways. I need to be hopping into just general voice chat every so often and terrorizing my community. Terrorizing in air quotes. Just
general harassment.
Yeah, general harassment, interacting with my community a lot more, having fun, talking with people, socializing, all of that fun stuff. I need to be doing that a lot more. And, you know, with your guys' consent, I will probably be recording quite a few of it just to pad out the podcast a little bit more.
Oh, there's a nice idea. King Duckhead, you could do thirst traps.
That's how I got popular in the first place.
Do more.
Have a profile link directly to Patreon. I do. I have a whole link tree. Profile link. Mason, or do YouTube with a small group with the editing done by someone else. And if we can get high enough following, we can do sponsorships, which might help to boost the income for it. Someone else being within the group. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy the video editing because, you know, I went to film school, and that's
This podcast definitely not brought to you by NordVPN.
Brought to you by Bad Dragon.
No, Doc. No. No.
Stream big game nights. That's not a bad idea, having some game nights within the community with the Discord server and such. The problem is, so I work nights. I start work at 3 p.m. and I don't get home until around midnight, usually. That's one of the reasons why I don't get a giant viewing audience when I normally stream. It's because I'm doing it during the day when everyone's either at work or at school. So
I'm usually driving home.
I'm sorry, everyone. I have the boring 9 to 5 and then going straight to being a mom after work. So really, my time, if I do get to game, is on weekend.
One thing we could do is have a game night at insert weird hour number 3 here, record it, and then upload it as a pre-recorded live.
And that's actually what I was going to do when I hop into random voice chats during the night. Because, you know, after work, if I don't normally fall asleep until like 2 a.m. anyways. So after work, I'm hanging out on my computer a little bit just to calm down from the day. And that's when I was going to be hopping into random voice chats. I was going to pre-record them and just do a pre-recorded live during the day. Oh, I could do those pre-recorded lives during work while I'm at work, because then more people would watch it.
Bingo, air it in a prime time slot.
There we go. And I mean, I could set that up pretty easily.
At least for the live, and then you can upload it to YouTube as a podcast episode.
Yep. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Do stuff like that.
And turn on YouTube monetization with, like, gifts and such. How that works, I don't know.
I'll have to research it myself. I don't have anyone on my YouTube audience watching my streams, though.
Nobody's watching yet.
If we can get a Minecraft or other game server set up, we could also use that for content creation. We could. I was able to get a Minecraft server working on both Java and Bedrock. It was a hybrid server. I was able to get that working, but I never actually opened it up to the internet. It was only on LAN. That was on a very different type of network that I'm on, because now I'm using Starlink. We have that, it's like a cellular mobile device network type deal.
Yeah, the base hub and all that hoo-ha.
Or not base hub, but rather it's like the cellular network, in which it's got a completely different IP setup and procedure set up for how data is transferred. So the normal IP sharing doesn't work the same way. So Because I'm on Starlink now, I have to do all of that fun stuff. Either that, or I could just pay for a Minecraft server. What is it? Whatever Minecraft does for their own servers, where you can just go through them. Realm, that's it. Just a Minecraft Realm.
I'm a Phyllis. I never played it.
It's not much different than hosting a server. It's just through Minecraft's official stuff. Not Realms. Mason is very much against Realms, which is understandable. I don't blame him. I don't blame that. Set it up on like Linode. Fair enough. Just set it up on a server hosting service. That would work.
We should get an Arma server going.
Yes, that would be fun. So, yeah, a lot more content creation. That would be great. And then, we could keep that going when we actually get the commune up and running. But instead of, just online stuff, we have LAN parties.
You could always do Unreal Tournament.
I've always wanted an arcade too. Like for years, I've wanted it. So, if we want to do an arcade, just have events and such that we stream from that would be fun.
I mean, if we make the meeting hall big enough, we could just have a little gaming convention.
All right. So, with all that fun, just more content creation, I have noted down here the community can join in advertising. Now, by what I mean by that is, the advertisement for the commune, for the podcast, for all of this stuff, that doesn't have to be just me. And I'm not saying that because I'm lazy. I'm saying that as in, if you guys want to join in the effort of advertising all of this, do so. Do it. If you have ideas, flesh them out. Post them.
Tell your friends, tell your family, harass your neighbors.
I wouldn't be surprised if our Discord group actually has graphic designers, anyone in that realm that can possibly help just create stuff for us to put online.
Come up with fun ways to sell the idea.
And if you guys have your own ideas, flesh them out. Just do it. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
I know there's many creative people within our Discord. Somebody might have something that can work.
Andrea says that they're learning graphic design and IT. Nice. If you want a reason to practice.
Once we have the LLC and the bank account for it set up, if you got the money, rent a billboard. Rent Google Ad space.
Mason says what needs to happen is we need the screening process to be started now so we have it out of the way. Yeah, we do need to start the screening process early on. I will agree with that. So it's like we're still very early. How long have we been doing this podcast? We're on episode 5 essentially, and so
2 months.
We've only been
give or take
a month and a half, really. All right. Anyways, on to the next slide. The LLC formation. Speaking of the LLC formation, there we are. Onto that slide. Talking about naming the LLC. So we do have a channel called Co-op Name Suggestions. Like it's saying there, it's vital. It needs to be unique and reflect the mission of the co-op. Why does it say commune? It's a co-op, not a commune. I apologize, everyone. It's a co-op, not a commune. So we have been getting a whole bunch of fun names that are awesome. They're very meme joke names, unfortunately. But that's okay, because even the bad ideas can lead to good ideas.
Sometimes knowing what you don't want can help you lead you down the path of finding out what you do want.
Radarian agrees with you, Bombed Carnivore. They like Eucatastrophe.
Bingo! That's 2 for Eucatastrophe.
That's 2 votes for Eucatastrophe.
Tolkien strikes again.
I will say, we have to keep in mind that yes, we are having to turn this into something that is a legitimate business. I like the meme names too; they're hilarious. We just have to make sure this is something that we have to put this in paper and bold black ink to the government.
The road names, we're going to keep a lot of these joke names for buildings and street names though, because
so even if you suggest something, even if we don't use it for the LLC or the co-op itself, we'll keep it somewhere.
We'll see if we can find a place for that name.
So.
The street names and the informal building names can be very silly because whatever.
I do like naming the community building MacGuffins. That was funny.
I thought that was a good idea.
So, or shenanigans.
Keep it in line with the film.
The tool shop is the The tool shop is MacGuffin's.
The tool shop should be shenanigans because that's where all the shenanigans will be taking place.
And then, we have there is a website that allows us to check if said name is taken already. I think that's it.
If it's been abandoned or what.
If it's been abandoned,
We got to
if
look
it's
into
owned.
it more.
So it's just a tool to allow us to research that and make sure, we're not screwing ourselves over by picking a name that's already been taken. Moving on, choosing board members. So originally we did have the thought of, Bombed Carnivore, Vickrel, and Raya as board members alongside me. I don't really get a choice. I don't get a choice. I'm stuck as one. I'm stuck as a board member, aren't I?
This is your idea. You've got to suffer the consequences of it.
For now.
All right, for now. So like I said, those who will become board members later, that'll be a selection process. We'll have to figure out, what we need, who's good at what we need, and such.
What roles we need.
There will have to, like I said, selection process. We will have to decide who's going to be the board members, and then, that's going to be before the commune is, the co-op. That's going to be before the co-op is even up and running, too, because the LLC needs to be formed for a certain amount of time before, we can file as that 501c3 or anything.
Yeah, we need to have mentions of figure out how our receipts and expenditures are going to go for 3 years when we file for the nonprofit, that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, that's good. So much fun. So much fun. Math. I'm good at math. I don't know.
I don't like math.
I'm good at math. I was a nuclear technician, so I'm good at math. I got that brand of autism.
I'm good at math. I don't like it.
But, so yeah, that's CEO, CFO, managers of various kinds. Thought I just had on managers. So this is going to be like managers of agriculture, housing, and just various different activities that are going on during both day-to-day activities and, longer activities and such.
And there will be checks and balances, especially on the treasurer. So it's not just, oh, we're taking money out. Nobody's checking on this. Embezzle. No, taking money out is going to require 2 signatures, etc., etc. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Going to slow things down, but we got to protect it for everybody.
There's even going to be, more likely, there's going to be check and balances even for board members. For many nonprofits, it's not to where, this is the one person that can just run off and do whatever with the money. Everything has to be checked out.
There is going to be very little unilateral decision making. If we run out of toilet paper, somebody can go, yo, we need toilet paper. I'm going to get it.
So, yeah, something like that. Something like that is fine for someone to just say, yeah, I'm going to go get this. But when it's like,
well, it's $20,000 to invest in a vehicle. No, we need to have other people look at this so we don't get caught up in our own heads, and to make sure we're not screwing everything else over, and so to make sure we're not doing illegal stuff. That's right, Mother. I am no fun.
Mason says could always do community service work with board members as the leader to boost activity pre-co-op, and I do like that idea. Something I've mentioned before on both previous episodes and just in general is I would like these leaders to actually be, people of the commune, from the commune. They're working alongside you. So if you guys end up knee deep in some, they end up knee deep in the same stuff. So they're affected just as much as everyone else.
You should get some newer merch going.
I should.
With the new logo, not with Teespring, because I'm good.
I need a better shop to do merch through.
We could crowdfund a bunch of T-shirts to get printed up at first for sale as merch to put the proceeds into the co-op.
Try that uniform company, U-Brand, I think it's called. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look.
Google. Oh, AI assisted branding platform.
Ooh.
Oh, that's U-Brand. It might be U-Brands. I think, well, You brands does like not really what we're kind of looking for. Because having like hoodies and the like for us to wear while we're out doing community service, a non-uniform uniform.
I will ask there's a local brand I know for sure that I think she can possibly make shirts and brands. I will have to find out exactly how much her cost would be. But I do know at least a local maker, and she can also try to make the graphic designs if need be. I have to find out exactly how much she would cost, and I can let you guys know.
Okay. Oh, speaking of that new logo, I understand that it was a gift from one of the community members, but I do, if we're going to be using them as official merch, I would like to compensate them in some way.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Because I understand it was a Christmas gift, and I love that it was a Christmas gift, but I don't want to just, use it and then take all the money for myself and not compensate them for that. Because if it leads to, expanding this, I want them rewarded for that. I want them compensated for that.
If I remember right, that was Silver who was on the podcast the other week.
Yes, I almost called them Sapphire. That's why I didn't mention their name, because I'm like, that's not right.
Starts with an S, but that's not right.
Because I am absolutely horrible with names. I apologize to everyone. I am horrible with names. If I forget your name, it is not because I don't like you or because you're not important. It is absolutely because I have ADHD, and
names are hard.
It's actually a generational thing, which makes me realize both my dad and my grandfather also had ADHD.
We were choosing board members.
Yes. So, board members, the selection process we still have to figure that out. It's just way too early to figure that out. And then, some of the board members will be added after the fact, after we become a co-op and such, because some of that stuff is not going to be relevant until the co-op is up and running. Moving on.
Yes. Move on to the next thing.
Drafting the operating agreements. This is just outlining the management structure, which is going to be like, this is what the CEO does, this is what the CFO, treasurer, managers, all of that fun stuff. And this is probably where we're going to be talking about, how we approve of different financial assets and such. And, there it is. Member roles, decision-making process, funding distribution.
It's going to be a lot of really, really boring stuff that nobody's going to enjoy.
Especially
but it has to be done.
Especially if, the whole thing is going to be filled with people with ADHD and neurodivergency, so of course nobody.
Having a list of how to make it work makes everything easy.
But hey, you know what? If everyone's neurodivergent, you know what that means? Short board meetings, straight to the point.
Unless we get distracted.
ADOS. Attention deficit. Ooh, shiny.
So I guess when this meeting does happen, to have a lot of fidget spinners on hand.
Can't hurt none. Butterfly knife stringers will be good too.
No shiny objects in the meeting hall. I just had a thought. Probably have two types of meetings. Meetings for both just the board members, and then also for, everyone in the co-op to, like, community meetings. There we go.
Oh, of course, because there's some stuff where it's just going to be board members, yes, no, blah, blah, blah. But then there's going to be bigger stuff where it's like, no, this shouldn't just be us. This is something the whole community needs to have a voice on.
Kind of reminds me of a letter I literally just got yesterday. My power company is a co-op. So, they send out ballots. We actually get voting ballots for who's in charge of the power co-op.
Oh, nice.
And it's really nice because I'm paying an average of $250 a month for power, which it may be different for where you live, but that's actually cheaper than what I was paying before, which was close to 3 or 4.
That ain't bad.
No, it's not. It's really nice. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Random banging on walls sound is not a fight.
Moving on to next, registering the LLC. This is just, basic legal jargon. This is what the initial startup for the lawyer is going to be relevant to, this is what we get enough money to talk to a lawyer about doing all of this stuff. This is the stuff that we're talking to them about.
And making the LLC is the beginning of the beginning.
Yes.
This is step 1.
Not step 1. This is step 0.5. This is before step 1.
Yes, this is one of the prerequisites for step 1. Sending you back to Boy Scouts. Oh, you have to do this, that, and the other thing before you even talk to the counselor. You have to write 17 novels.
Understanding legal responsibilities, that's just kind of the same thing as, drafting the operation agreement. This is where we're going to be detailing the responsibilities for all of the members and the legal responsibilities of the LLC and such.
And we're going to need receipts for everything.
Everything. I'm just going to have a big box with a slit on the top saying, put receipts here. We'll organize them later.
No, God, please just organize them as they come in. Otherwise, they're never getting organized.
Fair enough. Good idea.
It will be, or there's many programs that we could have that could
that'll scan them and organizing them.
Technology. Oh, and we're on from the LLC going to the securing a non-profit status. This will be where we, actually become a non-profit community that is tax exempt.
You got to get that employer identification number with the IRS.
And then this is also where we do the 3 years of either the projected financial stuff. I said budget here. That might not be the right word, but 3 years of either projected financials or 3 years of actual financials. It just depends on when we, do it.
And the financials cannot exceed more than $50,000 per year.
Yeah, and that's not per person. That's for the entire group, the whole LLC. Which I think what we can do is a lot of that. What is that? That the $50,000, is that what we have at the end of the day, or is that
is total? From what I understand, that was $50,000 total receipts, not expenditures. So that would be stuff we would be making receipts for, which is money coming in. So we have to expect to not receive more than $50,000 for 3 years.
Is that going to be enough?
To do much of anything? No.
Oh, okay. Second question, is that cold hard cash or is that in assets? I think we talked about it last night.
Assets, it was total asset holdings of under $250,000.
Okay, good.
So that would mean and everything else.
And then with the application fee, we can use the crowdfunding again, or whatever else we have going on at the time.
Yes.
But then that brings up the question, if I wonder if we should just, kind of forego the 501c3, because that's not so much to make. The reason we've been talking about that is as a way to easily fund the commune more efficiently. But if that's something that is not viable, it's really not funding opportunity as it is less money being taken out of our pockets.
Now, what we may do is set up an LLC for the entire thing, and then set up another LLC for the church that we will have on the property, and then the church will run the farming side of it as a nonprofit.
That'll work, I hope. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, I hope that'll work.
Which I guess this kind of puts in the part to why we would really be looking into like a nonprofit consultant to help us organize all of this before really filling everything out and putting everything down on the dotted line.
Because it's a lot easier to gain nonprofit status than it is to regain it after it's been taken away. Because they're going to look a lot harder at your books if they've already taken it away once.
Yeah, so it sounds like it would probably be a better idea to, instead of a projected budget, take a history. Use the history, operate for a few years, use the history of financials instead of what we think we will get.
And just for everyone who's listening's sake, none of us are thrilled about the time frame.
No.
But this is the IRS law, tax code as it stands. There isn't a dang thing we can do about it.
Unless Trump gets rid of the IRS.
Yeah, right. Then who's going to enforce the tax code? It's going to be real hard to have a government budget if you don't have anyone to collect the taxes to have the budget.
But let's be honest, has he really been that smart?
No.
Exactly. So, anyway, politics aside, I forgot where I was going with that.
But yes, none of us are happy that it's going to take that long to get
any of this
nonprofit. But if we forego the nonprofit, we're going to get hammered with more taxes. But it also frees us up to have as much income and outcome as we can manage to generate. If we end up with an angel investor that wants to give us $3 billion, it's no problem. Wish in one hand.
So this kind of I'm not sure if that kind of ruins the rest of this section of the roadmap, but if we do end up going with the 501c3, pardon me, if we do end up going with that, this allows us to do tax exemptions and allows people who donate to us to take deductions. This is literally just the boilerplate that I got from the
IRS.
Yep. Or no, this was based off of a template. Literally just the template that I got. So, beneficial in fundraising and establishing credibility within the community. There we go. It'll give us give people a better reason to trust us, and not side eye us as we walk down the street or anything. That's the cult living down the road, isn't it?
I mean, we're already gonna get side eye. There's not much we can do about it. We're just trying to minimize it.
Ongoing compliance requirements, like you were talking about, it's a lot easier to do it the first time than it is to try and redo it. That's basically just what this is saying.
On to land acquisition.
Yeah, on to the last step, which is just actual land acquisition and building the commune. We have to do just going to touch base on it a little bit because
we're trying to keep this manageable because this is getting a little overwhelming for us.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is really as far as we can plan right now. I mean, we can have ideas for stuff after this point, but at the current moment in time, this is as far as we can go that we can realistically have an idea for.
Yeah.
And we've had really good talks about land. Go check out the first and second episodes that talk about this. You can find them on my Spotify. You can find them on my YouTube page. Link trees are in the bio. Go listen to them on my Spotify. Get me a whole bunch of watches and such. Shameless plug.
Yes, shameless plug. Do more shameless plugs.
So, VicRoll has been incredibly helpful with identifying good pieces of land. And, we've got a whole bunch of suggestions from other community members in the Discord. Link tree in bio. We want to prioritize agriculture, and then, going into the future when everything's built. I know we were having some fun conversations during the prep meetings talking about having
doing a tollgate circuit.
Tailgate or tollgate?
Toge.
Toge, thank you.
Touge.
Toge circuit, which is off-road drifting, right? Rally cars?
Nope, that's on-road drifting.
Oh, Toge is on-road drifting?
Yep.
Oh, I misunderstood. Ooh.
Yeah, it is a straight-up Japanese drifting. Twisty, turny mountain roads going around tight curves that you can go very, very sideways on.
Yep. I mean, and if we're up in Maine, up in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah, well, no, wrong side. Northeast.
Thank you. In the Northeast, there's a lot of good mountains for that and good pieces of lands that it's just beautiful that you can see as you're doing all of that fun stuff.
And long term, that would be a massive profit earner for us because we'd basically be the only game in town for a toge circuit. And because of the remoteness of it, we'd be the only game in town offering accommodations for the circuit.
Are there any other toge circuits in the U.S. at all?
I'm not sure.
Okay. It was just a thought that came into my head.
There are no real, like, official. Oh, Japanese West Virginia. There might be one in. Occasionally, they'll shut down some mountain roads for a toge event,
But no, like, official
no, like,
circuit.
permanent tracks.
Okay. If we build a permanent track for it, that's automatically elevates us a little bit higher.
Oh yeah, you would get a lot of attention, and I do mean a lot.
Anyway, budgeting, land per. So aside from the lawyer for the LLC and the lawyer and application costs for the 501c3, all of our budgeting for crowdfunding and such is going to be related to purchasing the land, building the community center, and then the homes and agriculture, and finally any future business setups like the Toge circuit or like bed and breakfast, Airbnb.
Rally circuit.
Oh my gosh. My other flavor of autism that we've got, race car enthusiasts. On my first TikTok Bros of Seed account, there was a lot of talk of cars. A lot of people were talking about, hey, am I still going to have my car? Because I was talking about making it a walkable community. But at the same time, a lot of people enjoy classic cars and just fast cars and such. So I'm like, yeah, you'll still get your car. We're going to have a garage. We're going to have a racing circuit for you to have fun on. And this was just a general idea before. But with the Toge circuit and the other rally and we could just have a whole racetrack facility, I guess.
We could have a whole race team.
A whole...
There we go. There we go. I broke him.
Are we going to have it branded after Far Cry 5?
Yes. I mean, what else are we going to have it branded after?
Well, if we keep it within our own facility, what's stopping us?
And even then, what's stopping us? We just have to make it legally distinct from...
Well, hold on.
You've seen The Watchmen. It's legally distinct from DC Comics.
And ironically still part of DC Comics, too. It's a whole thing. But
there's a whole franchise built off of being legally distinct from.
Instead of branding them, we could just at least style them after and just have them as characters. And they don't have to be licensed characters. I know quite a few places. They don't say that, oh, we own this character. It's really just, this is how the driver or the person who's participating in these events, this is just how he likes his stuff. This is just how he customizes his stuff for fun.
Yep.
So, kind of like esports tournaments, a lot of people will have branded stuff just for, this. That's because, oh, that's my wallpaper. That's how I like my things customized. We can just do that.
And if we get sponsorships and stuff, we could make it.
Yeah, if we get sponsorships and stuff. And then, more money going into the co-op. There we go.
And then eventually we make an F1 team.
Oh,
no, we're not making an F1 team.
No,
please.
No, bring it back, boys. Please, bring it back.
Please,
bring the drink back. Bring it back.
Unilateral no on F1. That is a money pit.
No, I understand. But cargo fast.
Yes, cargo fast, but also 24 hours of lemons exists, and you can do that a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah, that was the other one we were talking about. And wasn't that the one? Was it you or was it Vickrell who was bribing the judges?
Oh, that was Vickrell, and yeah, that is a known thing. You can bribe the judges and tech inspectors.
Oh, it reminds me of it wasn't NASCAR. It was another kind of stock car race. There was this one guy who was absolutely notorious for bending the rules as much as possible. I
believe you're thinking about Smokey Yunick in NASCAR.
Yep, that's it. That's him. That's the guy.
He was notorious for cheating.
Yeah, I remember my dad watching a whole bunch of videos about this, and it was, he had a basketball that he put into his gas tank. Fuel tank. There was a basketball he would inflate, put it in the fuel tank, because then technically during tech inspection, the fuel tank would be within reasonability, and then he would deflate the ball, and all that gas would go, and then extra.
And then when they caught him doing that, he made the fuel line from instead of a 1/4 inch in diameter, he made it 2 inches.
Because then that's another extra.
And ran it back and forth from the front to the back 5 times to get an extra 4 gallons. And then, then the story with that one is allegedly they made him drop the fuel tank. They found the fuel tank was not good. And he was like, he threw a fit, got in the car, and drove away with no fuel tank.
Of fuel. Moving on from that, zoning and permits when we're actually building. That's going to be fairly easy. I remember we were talking about that earlier. There are still some zoning things that we need to go through. But if we get a land in the middle of nowhere, a lot of the zoning is going to be up to us.
Obviously, yeah, we're going to have to form a zoning board and all that just to make sure we stay kosher.
That will probably be one of the board members too. Like there will be a board member for that zoning and such, maybe.
Well, they'll be the head of the zoning committee. It's not just one person rubber stamping it, because there's a lot that goes into it.
No, yeah, I mean that's what I meant. So. And like middle of nowhere quotation marks. We're not going to be super remote. We're going to actually, I do want to still try and be somewhat close to civilization for various reasons.
First and foremost, healthcare.
Yes. Speaking of which, Mason literally just said we need to have a helipad cleared out for medevac if needed desperately. Especially if we're doing the Toge circuit or any kind of racing. Yeah, we do.
I mean, most helicopters top out at 155. I could make a station wagon that does 200.
We need some kind of quick medical evacuation.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it be that station wagon you just mentioned or helipad. But yeah, we do need some kind of way to quickly transport people over to the hospital. I remember we were talking about having a couple of ambulances, our own ambulances with certified drivers and EMTs for.
That would be a good thing. Sure. And maybe we can pay this EMTs more than $17 an hour.
I just had a thought, and this sounds horrible. If we provide them with food and shelter, they wouldn't need more than $17 an hour.
Yeah, if you don't have to worry about housing, internet, food, like, you don't really need a whole lot.
Designing the commune layout. Whoa.
That went way far past where we started to talk about yesterday.
Yeah. So it's just basic design. We're gonna start with the community center in the center and just kind of move on from that. Move out from there.
Radio arm it out.
Basically, that's the idea that I've been having.
We can do a radio arm or we can do a grid system. I like grids. They make it easy.
But that's just side note. That's a tangent. That's kind of the end of the... building timelines and phases. Basically just talked about that. We're going to start with a community center. Then we're going to go with... we're going to buy the land, set up tents, community center, housing and agriculture, and then after that we can do whatever businesses that we're planning on doing.
Yeah, we're going to have to fit power in there somewhere, but yeah.
And that's it. That's the roadmap to Eden. That's what we're going to plan on doing.
This is the plan so far. The plan will change.
Plan is always subject to change because that is the only constant. Change is the only constant.
This is the deal. Pray we do not alter it further.
That's kind of all I've got. Open to any questions if anybody has some questions. Mason says, I think we need 2 circular or hexagonal for walking sides, but also the layout is land development. Take a look at the power proposal sent in general power chat.
Yes, I believe one of the members did a rough design of the whole.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. If I remember correctly, this is the battery. So, Mason, as you already know, I worked on a solar site. My father also worked on solar sites for a while, but then he also went to a power storage site, and he really enjoyed that, and he tried to keep doing that, but that's beside the point. And the design you have here actually very much mirrors one of the power storage that he worked on. So, that looks very good. I like that. If you would like to develop it more, go ahead.
I just pinged you on a thread from Armitage for power integration, and he if I'm not mistaken, he looks like a electrical engineer. Maybe we could get them on the... I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Get them on the podcast and talk about the power generation. Because they seem to have a lot of very specific knowledge for this. Power ideas... power integration and underground facilities from Armitage.
Yeah, that would definitely be something I would like to talk about, have them on the podcast and talk about for it. Because, yeah, I do have the idea for solar and wind generation as well as fuel generator as a backup. I remember I was talking about something fun to do would be have a diesel electric engine as kind of a community generator.
And that is definitely probably going to be the initial thing. It may not be the long-term forever solution, but you can't really go wrong with a diesel electric generator.
So many people use diesel electrics.
They are used for backups and supplemental power supplies for industry for a reason.
Radarian, timeline on attempting first steps. It really depends on how long it takes for the crowdfunding to be taken care of. I'm going to try and get crowdfunding up
In the next week.
next week, next 2 weeks, at the bare minimum within the next few weeks.
And hopefully we'll be able to get FaceTime with a lawyer in the next month.
Yeah, maybe a little bit longer.
3 months max.
And then, this also comes back to you guys. As a request from me, poke me about it. Poke me. So, hey,
annoy the hell out of him.
You do this, dude. Do this. Do. Make more stuff. Make more videos. Make more advertisements.
If he gets snappy, just tell me. I'll smack him a little bit.
Though, do be aware that I'm still running 2 businesses on my own outside of all of this stuff. So just be aware of that.
As well as maintaining a full-time job.
Yes. Oh, this is my own fault. I did this to myself.
I mean, the one bit, if I remember right, the second business was kind of a surprise.
Second business being the Etsy shop, or
the production studio.
No, the Etsy shop was more of a surprise than the production studio. The production studio was planned for a while. But anyway, with all of that being said, I think we are good to end the episode there. Thank you so much, Bomb Carnivore and Raya, for joining me today. Thank you, everybody,
Anytime.
for tuning in. As always, join my Discord, Linktree in bio. Share your own ideas for this. If you have advertising ideas, share those. If you want to make some advertisements, make some art, make anything, just join in the community.
We have Discord. A channel for the advertising art.
We have a channel
suggestions for co-op adverts.
We have a channel for so many different things. We have so many channels for you guys to tune in and enjoy, whether you're joining in on the building the commune efforts, or if you guys just want to hang out. As always, we even have a pet photo page. Ain't that right, Balder? Ain't that right? So, anyway.
Yes, he is a heavy boy.
Thank you so much, everybody, for hopping on, tuning in. Thank you, Bomb Carnivore. Thank you, Raya, for hopping on and doing this with me.
You're welcome.
My pleasure.
I am going to go edit this thing down and try and publish it.
Pull out what's left of your hair.
What?
Pull out what's left of your hair.
Hey, I still have plenty of hair. I just have a really tight. I'm not lying. Like this is not receding hairline. I've literally had this high of a hairline since I was a teenager.
I'm just busting your stones.
I know, but it's. I just wanted to share how ridiculous it was, how high my hairline is.
There's a reason I shaved my head. There's a reason I shaved my head, so there's not enough for me to grab to pull out.
I'm not saying anything. I have more hair than the both of you.
Yes, you do.
There was one point where I had a lot of hair, and none of you will ever see those pictures.
Anyways, thank you so much.
Have a good week.
Have a good couple of weeks. We're going to do this again in 2 weeks, next episode. And then, as I said, I'm going to be hopping on random voice chats and recording videos with your guys' permission, of course. See you guys next time. This has been the Gateway to Eden podcast. Please join us again.